Welcome back. I was going to pull the Corvair inside, but then I realized I can't even see out of the back of this thing, so that's going to be a little hard to back it up onto the lift. The view out the front is bad, but at least you can see something. You can't see anything at all out of that back window. I usually wait until I'm a little further along with the project before I wash it, but I think it's time for this car to get a wash. Then we can put this top down. Let's get the decades of dust and dirt off this thing. This might be one of those cases where it looked better before I cleaned it. Now it's evident that it has a bit more rust than I thought it did. Both the lower doors have rust down there. There's a bunch of rust in the paint that I didn't see before. So I guess that's something to note if you are buying a barn find car. Make sure that you wash it before you assess the condition. I'm still happy with what I have here. Looks like it was hit in this corner at some point. There's some rivets that are coming out of the paint there. I still feel that there's no need to restore this car. This car looks like a good driver. Just gonna get it running and drive it as is. Looks like it was pretty watertight. Not a lot of water came in here. You can vaguely see out of the rear window now. That might be able to be cleaned some more, especially from the inside. The front windscreen though, looking a lot better. Again, it hasn't been cleaned on the inside yet. Let's get it in the shop and keep working on it. I've got it in the shop and it's looking pretty good. I've owned another Corvair before, but that one was a coupe. I've never had a convertible, so I don't think I've ever put the convertible top down on a Corvair. So let's get this down so that I can see out of the back better and let the smells escape more. First, I'm going to roll down these windows. I'm glad they're not stuck into the weather stripping. There's a latch on each side, and then I guess I just lift it up. Want to make sure I'm not creasing my back window. I guess that's right. There are little latches on each side that lock the top down once you push it down far enough. To put the top back up again, you would have to release these before you can pull the top up. So this is the folded down position. I did have a tonneau cover that went over this, but the mice had gotten to that and I had to throw that away. This is going to make it a lot easier to get inside of this, to clean up the interior, and I have that new carpet to go in as well. And I imagine you can see by the look of this that you can imagine what this car smells like inside. I just happened to flip the bottom of the rear seat up because I was curious what was underneath it, and I found that over there. That might be a build sheet. I think this is a factory tag, but unfortunately it's not a build sheet like I was hoping it was. Still pretty cool. If I move the cushion out of the way, you can see how the heater works. The heat comes in from the engine, blows to the feet of the passengers here, and then continues on this way where it goes up to the front seats. I think this is the first time I've had the car up to see the underneath of it. There's no rust holes through the floor. Everything looks pretty solid. The exhaust has seen better days. It's not even connected to this side of the engine at all. But other than that, it looks pretty good for a car just dragged out of a barn. I don't know exactly how long this car has sat and how old the fuel in the tank is, so I want to take this hose off so that I can drain it. And then I'm thinking about cutting this pipe back a little bit so that I can install a filter in between here. I think this is the only part of the fuel line that has a hose on it. And you can see someone has been up in here before. They added another ground for the fuel sender. So I'm gonna take this hose off, let the tank drain, and then we'll install a filter in here. That does not look like good fuel. But at least there's not much in it, or the hose is clogged already. I'm gonna take some wire, stick it up in there, see if it's clogged up. It's definitely inside the tank now. So I think all the fuel had been pretty much drained from this when it was put away, or it evaporated since then. Let's see if I can just bend this out of the way to make room for adding a filter down here. So this filter flows this direction from the tank to the engine. I think I'm gonna try to mount it somewhere up like that. I have the new filter installed now. I decided not to cut the pipe back, so I just made a longer hose so that this is completely reversible and I can take this off at some point if I know that the fuel tank is not going to be clogging up the carburetors. Now I can put some fuel in the tank. It's time to take my fuel bottle off, and I don't know if the fuel pump has been running because the car could run just off the gravity feed from the bottle. But I'm going to hook the gas tank back up to the fuel pump. The car will start because the carburetors are full of fuel from the bottle right now, but we'll see if it keeps running. If it dies, then the fuel pump is probably not working, but if it keeps running, then we have a good pump. The car's running. Let's take a look at the filter, see if we can see if fuel's moving through it. Ooh, there is no fuel at all here at the filter. So if the pump is working, it's definitely not sucking any fuel from the tank. Well, that's a little bit disappointing and explains why I did not get much fuel to come out of the tank. So I'm going to undo the hose here and see if we can get some fuel coming out of the tank through the filter. I did hear a vacuum when I disconnected this hose, so I think the fuel pump does work. We just need to get fuel to it. I've left the cap off the fuel tank. I'm going to blow a little bit of air in through here, see if we can get out whatever the blockage is. I'm going to take the filter off so that I don't damage that. Yeah, it's clogged up pretty solid. I'm not getting anything at all off of that. So it looks like the fuel sender needs to come out. I finally got the sender cracked. I'm going to let the fuel drain, and then I'll see if I can fix this. Let's see what it looks like, if we can get this out of there. Here's what the sender looks like. I'm going to cut the end of the tube off right there. There we go. The end of this is completely clogged up. So I'm going to try to shove some of that wire through there again, see if I can get that out. Okay, we are getting flow through it now. Looks like the float still floats. And this is actually moving pretty freely now. So I think I can temporarily put this back in until I can order some new parts for it. The sender isn't going to work. You can see the wire has become disconnected here. I just need to tighten this back up. Now we'll hook all the hoses and the wires back up put fuel in, and we'll try it again. Okay, now the engine's running and we can see the fuel pump is working. You can see the fuel moving through the filter there. The next thing that I'll need to tackle is trying to get the brakes to work. And obviously I'm going to need some parts for these. So I was thinking, while I'm waiting for parts, let's fill the brake master cylinder up with brake fluid. Then I can see if the master cylinder works, and I'll be able to see what brake cylinders might be leaking. Now let's see if we start to get anything on the brake pedal. Nope, I think I'm going to be ordering a new master cylinder. That's as far as I can go today without any parts. So if you want to see me continue my Corvair project, let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.